Just a few seconds. Need to make sure all our connections are working fine for Facebook. Uh, Sending data. We are now streaming. We are connected on Facebook, waiting to connect on YouTube. We are streaming on X. And we're still waiting for YouTube. There we go. YouTube's connected. Facebook is connected. And X is connected. All right, folks. Gene Galin here. This is your weekly ChathamNC Sports Roundup. We're a day early today, Wednesday instead of Thursday. ChathamNC Sports Roundup. It was Asheebo Rojas of the Chatham News and Record and myself with the Chatham Journal. That's the quick rundown of our agenda today. We're going to be talking, of course, high school basketball season is underway. A whole bunch going on, including some big games yesterday. Asheebo's power rankings are in today's paper, this week's paper. However, we're going to talk about maybe there's going to be some changes because of what happened in yesterday's games. There's high school wrestling going on, swimming, and some few other sports. We'll get into what's in this week's Chatham News and Record. Reminder for next week, the Chatham News and Record will be coming out on Wednesday instead of Thursday because it's Christmas week. We'll get into Asheebo's Athlete of the Week, everyone's favorite tidbit every week, and then we'll follow up as to what's going on, which games Asheebo and I will be going to cover over the next few days next week. All right, let me get rid of the graphic and let's bring Asheebo on here. Oh, hit the wrong button. All right, Asheebo, let's get into Chatham County basketball. A whole bunch going on here. Why don't you go for it?
Yeah, we start on the boys' side of things, and we can start with last night. We had the second edition of the rivalry between Chatham Central and Jordan Matthews. This time, Chatham Central got the job done on their home court, winning that one 56-49. And that one, Brooks Albright, 21 points from him. Also 13 points from Jeremiah Young, 10 points from Brett Phillips. But, Albright got hot early. Jordan Matthews got out to a big lead to start. I think it was 10-3. And then Jordan Matthews made a run at the end of that first quarter to tie the game. But even with Chatham Central leading at halftime, they came out with that third quarter, jumped out to another big run to take a big lead and got it all the way up to 23 points above Jordan Matthews in that fourth quarter. And then Jordan Matthews trying to make one last push at the end. Kamari Hadley, Nolan Mitchell, Zayn August combined for 23 points in that fourth quarter, but comeback effort fell short. All Chatham Central had to do at the end there was just hold the ball and run the time off the clock. And then in that one, I think for Jordan Matthews, the issues were shooting, really, especially from beyond the arc. I think they only made 2 threes out of, I think, 20, maybe 20 or 16 attempts. I can't remember the exact number, but wasn't the best shooting night for the Jets in that one. On the other end, Chatham Central knocked down some threes early on, and especially in that third quarter, they got going with Brooks Albright being aggressive, getting to the basket, getting fouled was another big thing for Chatham Central too in this game, getting to the free throw line, and that worked out for them. Also steals, getting turnovers, especially in that first half when they made that run and to start the game. Just turning Jordan Matthews over, getting them out of rhythm, and forcing them into some tough shots really helped them in this one. So we saw them bounce back, and you guys, of course, saw the interview with Stacey Harris, the Chatham Central boys coach, Brooks Albright, and Jeremiah Young after last night's game that was posted on Facebook and X. And then also this week, we had some more games with Chatham County schools. We had Seaforth beating Carborough 65-26. That's Seaforth's biggest win of the year. And in that one, Campbell Metter led the way with 20 points and 5 assists. And then we had Jordan Matthews before the loss to Chatham Central. They actually beat Wheatmore 57-43 on Monday. And that one, Zayn August had 21 points. So that's all we have for boys basketball so far this week. Northwood is going to be at Northmore tonight at 7:30. And also this weekend, we're going to have the First Bank Charger Classic. We'll have more information on that later on in the stream. And it's out in the paper as well, but we'll get on to that later. And just looking at the power rankings, and then this is, of course, from last week, so all the way up until Sunday, not even including Monday's games. Power rankings that's in the paper now. We got Chatham Central at 6, Jordan Matthews at 5, Woods Charter at 4, Seaforth at 3, Northwood at 2, and Chatham Charter at 1. And Gene, me and you talked about it before we started, right? And I think this week's games definitely will change some things in the power rankings, especially we got another head-to-head between Jordan Matthews and Central won that one. Just looking at the two games between those two teams, I think I would put Central ahead of Jordan Matthews. I do think Chatham Central is a better team as of right now. They have a more even distribution as far as who they can go to for points. Also, they play more as a team defensively from what I've seen. I think in that first meeting, Chatham Central just missed a lot of shots. They were kind of like Jordan Matthews last night in that first one. They just missed a lot of shots, and that they couldn't overcome that in that game. And Chatham Central came out, got into their offensive groove early on, and didn't really kept their foot on the gas until the very end there. And
what was the crowd like at the game? Because when they played previously at JM, the JM side was pretty full, and the Chatham Central side was pretty full. I would assume Chatham Central was packed last night.
Oh, yeah, Chatham Central was packed. Of course, their side of the stands filled all the way out. Jordan Matthews brought a pretty good crowd as well too. Probably, I don't know if it was as many people as the home game, but Chatham Central, just as they filled the gym at Jordan Matthews the first time, filled out their side as well. And so it always that game always makes for a great environment. I mean, of course, smaller gym, you got a lot of people packed in to one space. It's a rivalry, so the gym is loud. Both teams going at it, and we got a really good one in the boys' side of things last night. And then also too with the power rankings, though, just going back to some changes I would make. I think Northwood definitely has proven to be a number one team so far, all the way up through these weeks. So I think I'll go ahead and give them the nod. Going into next week, they've won some good games, and we'll get another chance to show that in the First Bank Charger Classic, where they play some other good teams as well. So, and of course, Chad Craig's coming back changes a lot of things for Northwood, what they can do, not even just on the offensive end, but on the defensive end, and how that opens up the game for Bakari Watkins, who was that big, the main guy, getting those rebounds and having to do the dirty work. Now he can do less of that and focus in more on his offensive game, which he's really good at with finding open players and also creating for himself. So we'll see how Northwood can improve even more with Chad Graves back in the lineup these next few weeks.
Quick question on that is: does it look like Bakari and Chad are working off of each other well, and as they play more together, they're going to get more in sync together, which is going to make them more dangerous for other teams to play against?
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. And like we actually asked him about it right after that last game against Seaforth, and like that's what Bakari said. It takes a lot of pressure off of his game, especially like we said on the defensive end. And Chad also he's much improved with handling the basketball, being stronger with the ball, especially on his finishes. And I'm sure they're going to look to him more, on those lob plays off the pick and rolls, and giving him more entries on the inside. Bakari Watkins, I think he's really good, when he's in the high-low action at the top of the key with the ball in his hand. He can really see the floor, kick it out to shooters, or he can take you on the dribble on the drive and get a bucket there. And then even if he misses, then you got Chad right there for the rebound and the putback, which he's really good at as well. So I think they'll definitely improve, on their chemistry as well down low and how they fit with each other in the team. I don't know if you guys knew, but they're actually cousins. I just found out last week. So family connection there as well. So we'll see how that works for them.
Well, I told Chad, again, this was after we discussed it. I was glad that he came back to Northwood. I think he feels more comfortable here, based upon the information we were able to gather. He feels the fit here at Northwood was the best for him, and I'm glad he's back, just because that way he gets to enjoy his senior year here at Northwood. So I'm glad he's back for that. What else is going on?
Yeah, so we can go ahead and go over to the girls' side of things for basketball. And last night, like we said, Jordan Matthews, Chatham Central. Jordan Matthews got the best of him in that first game. And in that one, they just turned Chatham Central over a lot. Chatham Central was really flustered offensively, couldn't get into a rhythm. A lot of thrown away passes, missed shots. And Jordan Matthews just took advantage of that, especially in transition. This one, not so much, right? And similar to that first game, Chatham Central came out, got up to a pretty big lead to start. Jordan Matthews couldn't find it in themselves to get a comeback like they did in that first game. They were also down Lizzie Austin in this one, who was a big part of that first matchup with the number of steals and transition opportunities she created in that game. So Chatham Central really just kept their foot on the gas all the way through, and really pulled away in that second quarter. I think they scored, I want to say 23 points in that second quarter, or it might have been the third quarter. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but this one really wasn't close all night. And Addison Golston, 15 points, 11 rebounds. I think it's her fifth double-double of the year, and she also had 7 steals in this one. Ansley Pressler had 12 points as well. So they really, got in a groove early on, kept it up, and never let up in this one. So, I mean, not much to say from a game that ended 48 to 18, but still a much different looking team for Chatham Central than that first game against Jordan Matthews early on this month. And other games this week, we had Wheatmore beating Jordan Matthews 55-24 on Monday. And Woods Charter, they beat Cristo Ray of Research Triangle 52-17 this week as well. And in that one, Wesley Oliver led the way with 24 points. Valentina Polinskaya had 12 points in that one as well. And, of course, Northwood's girls are going to precede the boys tonight at Northmore for conference opener for the Chargers as well tonight in the Four Rivers 3A, 4A conference. So should be pretty interesting to see how that goes for Northwood. Familiar conference opponent because they were all in the same conference for the past 4 seasons in the Mid-Carolina 1A, 2A. So, well, for Northwood's sake, 2 seasons, excuse me. And we'll see how that goes. But power rankings for the girls basketball side of things, of course, all the way up until Sunday. So this doesn't include this week's games. Chatham Charter at 6, Woods Charter at 5, Chatham Central at 4, JM at 3, Northwood at 2, and Seaforth at 1. And this week, of course, will change some things, especially with the head-to-head with Jordan Matthews and Chatham Central. I think Chatham Central really showed that they are the better team between the two, them and Jordan Matthews. So I think they're going to jump the Jets there. After seeing Jordan Matthews twice, they're just a really young team, and they're still trying to find their ways. They're relying a lot on the freshman twins, Michaela and Mackenzie Martin, who found their shots and got to their spots in that game last night. Just couldn't knock down those shots. And once they, of course, grow up, get some more maturity in the varsity game, because they're getting a lot of minutes early on this season, I think they will improve. But as of right now, I do think Central is a better team than JM. I might even put Woods over JM just because Woods has more experience as well. And at the top there, Seaforth and Northwood. Of course, we had the head-to-head last week, and Seaforth won that one. I think that's a lot there, and I think it would be really interesting to see if Northwood can respond and maybe get payback on Seaforth later on the season, because that game was actually pretty close in that second half there. If you take away Katie Leonard's 19 points in the first half, Northwood really found something defensively to shut down Seaforth for the most part in the second half of that game. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the second rematch.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Northwood started off slow on that. Plus, Nia was out sick. I was actually talking to Fred Whitaker yesterday at the UNC game because he was there to see his son because ETSU was playing against UNC. But he mentioned actually Noelle is sick this week, so I don't know if she's going to be playing tonight against Northmore. And as you mentioned, Northwood's going to Northmore tonight, boys and girls, but they're coming back tomorrow and Saturday. They're playing in that First Bank challenge. But before we get into that First Bank tournament, Coach Albright, was she a little bit calmer at this game than she was at the first JM game?
Oh, yeah, much better game for her and the girls. So, she didn't have to call a timeout, and get on her team, for the whole gym to hear like she does sometimes. But she did have her sparkly shoes on. She asked about you and where you were because she wanted to get her sparkly shoes put on the camera, Gene.
I have to catch it. Look, she right now she's our best dressed coach out there. If anybody wants to compete against her, go for it, both men and women. But I don't think you're going to be able to beat Coach Albright. She brings the bling and she gets that glistening and that stuff going. I'm surprised she doesn't have angel hair. So no, Coach Albright's I love her and I'm glad they were able to turn it around last night. And as I've mentioned to a whole bunch of folks, they asked me when two Chatham County teams play together, who's my favorite? Look, I just want both teams to play well. It's interesting to see how uh, C4 JM came on strong in the last 2 weeks ago, and now this time around Chatham Central came on. So it's going to be an exciting basketball season. Once January rolls around, things are really going to be hopping. So. And as the other thing, I'm going to pop this up here. Just a reminder. Asheebo mentioned that he did a post game video interviews with these folks. You can find that on X. It's definitely worth it. What he usually will do is Asheebo will round up a coach and 2 or 3 players and talk to them afterwards. So it's an ability for you not to just wait till Thursday's paper. Yeah, pick up Thursday's paper, but you can also right after the game be able to get feedback as to who Asheebo. Because one of the things, if you ever notice when you're at a game and Asheebo's there, he's got his chart out and he's keeping tabs on what's going on. So that's why he's able to tell you how many points they scored, how they're doing, and all this other information that you won't get if you're just watching it on the whatever systems. But yeah, you definitely want to watch and follow Asheebo on Asheebo R38, and we're trying to get him over 1,000 followers. So go ahead and folks, just go ahead and follow him, and that way he'll be in your X feed. Plus, he's also on Facebook as well. All right. What else we got? Do you want to talk about the First Bank thing coming up tomorrow and Saturday?
Yeah, we can. We can mention, just a little bit of the schedule. We have the first matchup set already. Um, so Northwood, just looking at the schedule here. So on the boys' side of things, Northwood uh, will take on Riverside. Oh no, this is the girls. Northwood will play Riverside in the girls tournament at 6:30 on Friday. Yeah, Friday when the tournament tips off, and that's going to be at Northwood High School. Of course, the girls I think are going to split. Well, the first rounds are going to split some time at Pollard and Northwood, and then in the boys' first round on Friday, Northwood is going to play Felton Grove at 8 p.m. at Northwood. So if you want to catch, of course, the hosting team, the Chargers there, those are your times, dates, and location for the first round of the First Bank Charger Classic. And, of course, the tournament's going to run through the weekend with the championship going on Monday. And then we also have some local teams playing in the Sports Tone Christmas Invitational Tournament at Asheboro High School from the 27th to the 30th. And we'll have Chatham Chargers girls and boys and Jordan Matthews boys and girls in that one. On December 27th, Chatham Charter will play Southwestern Randolph's girls at 4 p.m. And then after that, Jordan Matthews girls will play Asheboro at 7 p.m. And the boys' side of things, Jordan Matthews will take on Eastern Guilford at 2:30 p.m. And Chatham Charter will play Trinity at 5:30 p.m. to start that tournament. So just a couple updates on where some teams will be playing in holiday tournaments. Of course, more information on those 2 tournaments will be in this week's paper coming out tomorrow. But also, Gene, I did want to update some things on wrestling as well. This week, of course, is Wrestling Wednesday, so we got some duels going on tonight. C4 is going to be at Holly Springs, and of course, Harrison Compton want to look after the 215-pounder from C4. He's 12-0 this season. Jordan Miller in the 120-pound division, 14-1. So we'll see if those guys get some action tonight. Northwood is going to be dueling against Northmore tonight as well. And then Jordan Matthews is having their senior night for wrestling. They're going to be hosting Southwestern Randolph and Central Carolina Academy for a conference meet. And actually, I do plan on being there tonight. That will be my first wrestling dual event that I cover this year. And of course, get a chance to look at Jakari Blue, standout wrestler for Jordan Matthews, is 15-0 this season. William Koikendo is also another senior for Jordan Matthews. He's 10-12 on the year. So, of course, it'll be a pretty cool night honoring the seniors, especially Jakari, who's put together a pretty good career at Jordan Matthews, not just as a football player, but especially as a wrestler. He's gone to a couple of state tournaments and competed there and represented his school well in his 4 years. So just an update on wrestling. And do you guys?
Yeah, before we move on from wrestling, I just want to thank the folks who are watching. We're averaging over 1,500 views of viewers, not views. We actually average more than 1,500 views. We average over 1,500 folks view us every week. Most of you watch us after the live stream. Tiffany, I see Tiffany Tyson. Tiffany, as you heard, Asheebo did mention that JM Senior Night is tonight, and he will be out there at that event. So, Mark, we're watching Robin, Shalia, a whole bunch of other folks are watching. I can't always see everyone who's watching because it doesn't always pop up on my screen, but I kind of keep an eye on that. So we do thank you for watching. And as we mentioned, JM Senior Night is going on tonight at JM. All right. Sorry for interrupting. Go on, Asheebo.
Yes, we're gonna talk about what's in the paper this week because we actually got some big news across all sports. A lot of different type of big news in the paper this week. Starting with Seaforth girls basketball, they have found a head coach to replace Charles Bird, and he was just approved by the board on Monday. Mike Zillman will take over for the girls basketball program. He's been a long-time figure in the basketball space here in the Triangle, especially with women's basketball. He's Coach Z, known as Coach Z in the area. He's been a long-time trainer of many high-level basketball players that's gone on to play Division I college and in the WNBA. He also is a leader of NC Attack, the AAU team that has won some tournaments and produced a lot of great players as well. Some C4 players, present and past, have played for Coach Z with NC Attack. So he's got some familiarity there, and he's going to be leading this Hawks program as their second coach. Of course, we already know Charles Bird had a great 4 years starting the program, 3 straight regional final appearances, state title appearance as well back in, I think it was 2022-23 season. And of course, he led Gabby White, who's now at Virginia, 4-star athlete, one of the top 100 players in her class last season, the class of 2025. So, Zillman's going to take over a great story program already in this 5th year of existence, and we'll see how he can continue on, C4's success and carry on that legacy this season. And also, too, this week we have news on the Old North State League, the summer college baseball league here in North Carolina. They are bringing a team to Siler City. So the plan is they're going to move the Randolph Roping Roosters, who had their first season last year. And guys, remember Chatham Charter standout Aiden Allred, who was moved on to college now. He was playing for them last summer as well. He was an all-star last year. They're going to be in Siler City this coming summer, and there's plans on building a new ballpark on the side of the Paul Braxton Field, where, of course, American Legion used to play. And of course, it's bringing back woodback baseball. It hasn't been around for, I think, almost over 70 years. And it's going to be another opportunity for people to come downtown, catch, of course, ball games during the summer. And talking to Reggie Allred, CIO of the Old North State League, they hope that this ballpark that they're going to be building with the help of the town of Siler City and some private funding as well, they're hoping that this stadium could provide a space for other things like concerts, movie nights, events that will help upbring the downtown atmosphere in Siler City. So exciting news there. Excited to see how that turns out. And they are doing a name the team competition. I think they've already got past the first phase of the competition. So now they're going to vote on a couple of names that stood out to them in the first phase. We have Chatham Wild Hares, Chatham Millers, Chatham Yardbirds, Chatham Cluckers, Chatham Foul Tips, and the Chatham Hot Wings. So are some names that they're going to be holding a vote on. So they're going to hold a fan voting on those names until Sunday at 11:59 p.m. And you can submit name. You can vote through their Facebook account with Chatham County Baseball LLC or Chatham County Baseball Team. And you can go there, vote for the name, and we'll see what it is on January 12th at 6 p.m. That's when they're going to reveal that name, and they're going to also live stream that on all their social media platforms. So exciting things coming to Solid City with college summer baseball, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think the Paul Braxton site is going to be a good site for having a field like that. Personal favorite of all the names you threw out there is the Chatham Hot Wings. I like that one with Monterey just sitting right down there. And yeah, but the Paul Braxton area is a good spot. That field area that they've got is easily accessible, and as Asheebo mentioned, it's close to downtown, and I hope it works out well, because that would be nice, especially if it's a multi-purpose type of thing where you can bring in other events besides baseball in the baseball off season. All right. Also, the other thing too, you were at the game last night over at Chatham Central. You were hoping to be at UNC game because Fred Whitaker, a former Northwood student athlete, is on the ETSU team. However, Fred was not playing yesterday because he's been redshirted this year. And so, but I did have an opportunity to see him out there. Got some video. We'll posted that. And I also got some pictures. So we'll have some pictures of Fred. It was nice to see him. The whole Whitaker family was out there except for Noelle, because Noelle was at home sick. And like I mentioned earlier, she will probably not be playing in tonight's game between Northwood and Northmore. But it was nice to see Fred. He's looking good, and the best of luck to him and the rest of the ETSU. The first half, or like the first 16 minutes, were giving UNC a hard time. And that was a question that came up to Hubert Davis during the press conference afterwards, saying, hey, what are we going to do about those slow starts? And I think a couple of the players had mentioned that, hey, you know what, these teams that they're playing play a little bit differently than the Division I upper tier teams, and they've got to get used to it. And the coach Hubert said basically, yeah, they need to pick up their pace for that first half, because if they play against some of the top caliber teams, they're not going to be able to catch up in that second half. But they did come through and pulled away big time in the second half. So hey, Fred, it was a pleasure to see you out there, and the whole Whitaker family. It was nice to see you. They were sitting a few rows behind the East Tennessee State University bench. So it was nice to see them all out there, and it's good to see Fred doing well. All right, what else do we got?
Yeah, also in the paper, of course, we have our stories from Northwood to Seaforth boys and girls basketball. So you guys missed out on that. About that in the paper. We have our winter sports roundup as well. And just as some added things, we had highlighting a local girls basketball team, Carolina Hornets, who you guys remember the Carolina Magic, coached by Ryan and Jared Seiler from over the summer. They've joined the Carolina Hornets junior EYBL team. So a lot of the girls and the coaches, the Seiler brothers, they are coaching and playing with the 13U team. And they closed out the fall and winter season by winning the 2025 National Travel Basketball Association Winter National Championship on December 7th. So we have a short story on them, just highlighting their win, of course, what they were able to accomplish this season. And if you guys have, like I said, we wrote a story on them over the summer when Carolina Magic went and competed in a championship at Rock Hill, the same place. And they did pretty well there as well. But just bringing some elite middle school girls basketball to the area, hoping to bring in some of the best talent, not just in the area, but also around the state. They've attracted some people from out of state to come up here and play basketball. So really cool thing growing with girls basketball here in the county. You can read more about that in the paper. And I think that is all we have. Yep, that's all we have in this week's paper. So, Gene, you're ready for Athlete of the Week?
Yes, we're ready for everybody's Asheebo's Athlete of the Week. Go for it.
Yeah, so Athlete of the Week, we're going to Seaforth girls basketball, and it's going to be Katie Leonard for lighting up the scoreboard last week. She had a career-high 32 points in the loss to Southeast Alamance on December 9th, and those are the defending champions, by the way. And then she followed that with 21 points in the win over Northwood on Friday. Like we said, she had 19 points in the first half of that game, and Northwood really didn't have an answer for her until that second half. But at that point, it was a little bit too late. Seaforth was already up by a lot thanks to Leonard's efforts. And her final high school season, of course, she stepped up as Seaforth's offensive engine with Gabby White moving on to college, and she's taking on that role very well. Of course, she's going to head to Cornell University after this season to continue her basketball career. So, yeah, congratulations to Katie. Great season. And we're excited to see what else she can accomplish this year with this Hawks team. And she can continue to keep up this level of scoring, which I think she very well can.
Yep. Congratulations, Katie. I know your mom's proud of you making athlete of the week because I know she's out there watching you at all the games that you're at. So congratulations. And again, Katie Leonard, Seaforth girls basketball is this week's athlete of the week. And yes, I say it's everybody's favorite, but yes, it is everybody's favorite. They all want to know who Asheebo picked out. And I'm not surprised he picked out Katie because I saw her play against Northwood and she definitely had, when she gets in her zone, she's definitely very hard to stop. So, Katie, congratulations. All right, Asheebo, let me get rid of that. You are going to the JM wrestling match tonight. What are you doing over the next few days after tonight?
Yeah, so I know depending on how the First Base Charger Classic goes, I think if we have if we have Northwood teams in the championships on Monday, I do plan on stopping by there, covering those games for the following paper. And I think that's about it. This is our last stream of the year of 2025 before we take a break and give ourselves 2 weeks off for Christmas and the New Year. So it's going to slow down a lot these next 2 weeks with sports, but we'll continue to have coverage in the paper of some of our holiday tournaments and whatever's going on in between time between Christmas and New Year's or between now and Christmas. So, yeah, that's my plans. I think, Gene, are you planning on going anywhere the next few days?
Well, I'm planning to be out there, as you said, for tomorrow's game at the basketball First Bank tournament on Friday, Saturday, possibly Monday, depending on how things go. The interesting thing is, I think if you look at what you've got in the paper, is it's not just local teams. Don't they have a team like from Virginia and a team from South Carolina participating in this? So Cameron Vernon and his folks have definitely expanded the First Bank. It's always been one of the good tournaments here in the county. I still remember, a long time ago when I was a basketball manager in high school, I used to enjoy the Christmas season because a lot of times it would kick off with a basketball tournament or two, and it was a fun time. Again, the reason I put that up there is follow Asheebo R38 on X is because Asheebo and I talked about this before we started the live stream today. Although we will not have a live stream next week or the week after, this is the last one of 2025. Make sure to follow him because he will update it. And the nice thing Asheebo does is when the paper comes out, he takes a clip of the front page sports section, and so that way you can see what's in that paper. So don't just look at the clip, go and pick up a copy of the paper, cut out what you need. Next week's paper, I think, is coming out on Wednesday and not on Thursday. But if you want to stay up with what's going on, make sure to follow him on X as well as on Facebook. All right, Asheebo, anything else before we close out?
Nope, that's all I think we've got for a Roundup this week. And like I said, this is our last one of the year before the new year. So just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Hope everyone has a great holidays, and we'll see you all for the last stretch of winter sports in 2026.
Definitely want to echo what Asheebo said. Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and we'll see you folks in 2026. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. And again, if you see Asheebo out there tonight at JM, just give him a shout.